Hello and thank you for having me. Hope you guys are having a good time, having fun today. I was very flattered by the invitation to speak here today. To be recognized by our community really means the world. As a news reporter here in Northeast Ohio, I dedicated my craft to telling the stories of underrepresented and overlooked communities. We need to fight for improved representation in media for the communities for which we are allies of, and of course our own Filipino American community. If there's an opportunity for me in my line of work to report a story on Filipino cartoon characters, to talk about the dangers often our elders face in the face of racism, or just any opportunity to talk about our culture, I'm going to take it. I'm going to tell those stories. I fight for representation in our media because we deserve to have our stories told, of course, but it's also a way that we can keep our cultures and traditions alive. I'm proud of the people in this room for keeping our cultures alive. The pancit at the table over there, the Filipino dresses, you all look lovely, and karaoke, of course, if you can convince Sonny and George to share the mic with us. It's imperative that we keep these cultures alive, especially for those of us who are second-generation Americans. There's a common storyline a lot of us share. We spent our childhoods trying so hard to fit in, embrace our peers, and immerse ourselves into this world where we are severely outnumbered. Through all of that, it can be really easy to lose our traditions and culture along the way. I want to encourage my generation and the generations after me to keep up those efforts. And maybe it's something a little bit more ingrained in our parents, but we need to keep the things our parents know and love alive. The adobo recipes, the parole we hang at Christmas time, and seeing a Filipino celebrity on TV and pointing them out and using our lips to do it. I want to tell you about one of my favorite Filipino traditions. I think most of you can maybe picture this scene. Filipino party, huge spread of food, rice right at the front. Chismos us in the living room, titas dancing, karaoke on the speaker that's way too loud, teenagers on the phone, the young adults maybe by the liquor bottles, a random white guy playing cards. And so many shoes by the front door. If you got 50 people, that's 100 shoes. But in the backyard, the titos, sitting in the backyard, drinking beer, and laughing so loudly, just reminiscing. It looks so boring. I didn't want any part of it. A couple of years ago, my cousins and I sat around my brother's backyard, drinking beer, laughing so loudly, reminiscing. We're the titos now. And I can't believe that this mundane activity, just reminiscing, sharing our memories, is now my favorite Filipino tradition. 3 months ago, my favorite person to make those memories with, we lost him. I suppose I can't create these new memories with him anymore, but I promise I will be reminiscing. I hope he knows that I will be retelling our stories over and over and over. And we have some good ones. I would say to him, remember the time when you asked Lola if she could make adobo without the meat. He just wanted the sabaw. Remember the time when we would have sleepovers and we would lay down on the floor side by side in the living room, and randomly at 2 in the morning he would just roll over on top of us. We call that the Filipino steamroll. Or, do you remember when we were in college? I thought we might be growing apart. I thought my Kuya Basil was becoming too cool for me. He didn't want his younger cousin to be around him. Well, the opposite happened. He brought me to parties, introduced me to his friends. He would visit me here in Cleveland, and he loved it. He went out of his way to show me so much love. And I thank him so much for those memories. Retelling these memories is my new favorite tradition. I hope my fellow Filipinos can embrace this tradition and embrace all of our traditions. To preserve these traditions is to show love and appreciation for the world our parents once lived and always loved. To preserve our culture is to show love and appreciation for the sacrifices our parents made to create this new world for us to thrive. I like to think that my mom gets pleasantly surprised when I tell her about the Filipino communities I've become a part of in my adult life. I like to think she gets pleasantly surprised when I can tell her about the history of Andres Bonifacio or Jose Rizal. And while it's a lot of work for her, I like to think she gets a kick out of me coming home with the ingredients for kare kare. And she can teach me how to make it. My mom, like a lot of your parents, want to pass these traditions on to us as much as possible. But imagine how hard it is to prioritize that when you're new to a country, providing for a family. I love you. By embracing our cultures, and continuing these traditions, which sometimes means relearning them, we are honoring the sacrifices you made for me and my siblings. It can be easy to lose these traditions as second-generation Filipino Americans, and even harder for third, fourth, fifth, sixth-generation Americans. So my advice to you, cook the sinigang, even if it's not as good as your mom's. Embrace your dialects, even if your titas will make fun of your American accent. And build community. Be intentional about being amongst your fellow Filipino Americans. And most importantly, reminisce. Keep your memories alive. Tell and retell the stories of your ancestors, of your family, of your cousins, of your parents, and of your siblings. As time goes on and on, we are becoming more American. But that does not mean we have to become less Filipino. I love you, cousin. Salamat. Asafan.